This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. New Year's Eve fireworks display cancelled once again. For the second year in a row, Jamaicans will not be able to participate in or view the New Year's Eve events, fireworks on the waterfront and the fireworks on the bay. The Urban Development Corporation announced yesterday that there will be no staging of the events due to the threat of the COVID-19 virus being spread. The annual events hosted by the UDC and the St. Anne Development Company attract more than 300,000 persons. Despite the easing restrictions for the holiday season and the extended curfew announced for New Year's Eve, the UDC states that it will be adhering to the physical distancing and the public gathering guidelines. Fear in Druseland following murder of taxi driver. Residents of Davidson Crescent in Druseland say they are in fear as they believe there is likely to be a reprisal following Tuesday's fatal shooting of 29-year-old taxi driver Michael Bingling Jr. and the burning of his house in the Tough St. Andrew community. According to the Duhaney Park Police, around 12:15 a.m., residents heard explosions and saw fire coming from a two-bedroom house occupied by Bingling. The police, along with the fire department, were contacted and the blaze was extinguished upon their arrival. The charred remains of a man was later found and removed to the morgue. Although the police have not officially confirmed the identity of the deceased man, family members said Bingling was the only one in the house at the time of the incident. "Them killed Spangy," one family member was heard saying, referring to Bingling by his alias. But despite the time that has passed since the incident occurred, our news team was greeted with tight-lipped residents who stood in utter disbelief that something of that nature happened in their community. Trelawney Farmer and Bingling's father, Michael Bingling Sr., 76, told the news that he got the news of his son's passing and it mashed him up. "I feel down. Me see how the place burnt to ashes. Me just feel down. I don't know what could have caused this. Him friendly, him jovial, him no make no trouble in a Druseland. Me and him did very close. Me mash up," the elder Bingling said, noting that he has not yet seen his son's body. "One of my nephews called me and tell me that them killed Spangy and burn him up. I got the call around 6:30 a.m. because my phone did want to charge, so I take my battery out of it to use the universal charger. So as soon as I put in the battery, I see the missed calls coming back in. So them did a try to get me from earlier. Me just get ready and head to Kingston same time. You know, from Trelawney it take a time to reach. I think I left there around 10 a.m. he said. Bingling Sr. said his son's mother, who lives in the United Kingdom, was so shocked by the news and had to be taken to hospital. "It take her down. She's in the hospital right now after she here," the father of three said Wednesday. Meanwhile, a neighbor of the taxi driver told the news that she is now contemplating relocating because she feels unsafe. Recalling the incident, the woman said, "I was sleeping, then I heard gunshots, and when I heard the gunshots I got very scared and I started hugging up my baby. After not hearing anything more, I looked and I saw that his house is on fire. Me start cry out because I know he was alone over there." She said that after she started screaming, neighbors came out and tried to kick down the gate. However, she said this was proved to be impossible, so they went through her yard and entered the taximan's yard using an opening in the zinc fence. "Bingling Jr. don't trouble people, and he was a very quiet person," said the woman. "Everybody in the community love him. Everybody was mourning and crying because everybody know him a good youth. Him and everybody talk good. Me need to go somewhere different right now because me have my baby and me no want nothing happen. I don't want to stay here," she added. Meanwhile, Bingling Jr.'s aunt, 72-year-old Carmen Francis, said she too is not feeling comfortable in the community anymore. "Me no feel so safe at all. Me no know where them kill him for. Me no know how them kill the man one son. At the first me see this family live here," Francis said, noting that she has been living in the community for more than 10 years. Education Ministry working towards eliminating operational inefficiencies. Education Minister Favour Williams says the ministry is working to streamline its systems to eliminate some of the operational inefficiencies which have been frustrating teachers and which could lead to corruption. The minister has stated that she understands the frustration of educators who experience long delays when dealing with the ministry. She also disclosed that the government's pension and human resource management systems are on the agenda for implementation within the ministry, and that the files will be digitized so that they can be easily accessed and analyzed. The education minister added that digitization should also help to lessen opportunities for corruption. 10-year-old girl murdered in Central Kingston. A 10-year-old girl was shot and killed by unknown assailants in Central Kingston early this morning. She has been identified as Tenyearold, a student of Fleet Street, Kingston. Reports from the Central Police are that about 2:50 a.m., Tenyearold and her relatives were asleep at home when a relative reportedly smelt gasoline and heard strange sounds on the roof. The relative went to investigate and was allegedly pounced upon by intruders who attempted to gain entry to the house whilst firing at the occupants. When the gunfire subsided, it was discovered that Tenyearold was shot. She was taken to the hospital where she was pronounced dead. Senior detectives are now appealing to members of the community or anyone with information in regards to the incident to come forward. People's National Party caretaker for the Kingston Central constituency, Imani Duncan Price, has called on Prime Minister Andrew Holness to intervene to stop this spike in mayhem and the murder led by the gangs. Central Kingston is bleeding, she said in a tweet. Increase seen in debit card circulation. Nearly 700,000 additional debit cards were in circulation at the end of the July to September quarter compared to the same period last year. The Bank of Jamaica's Payment Systems Bulletin shows that 4.4 million debit cards were issued, up from 3.7 million cards of Jamaican dollar denomination in 2020. The increase was linked to more Jamaicans doing online transactions due to the pandemic and the banks converting to digital transactions, reducing in-branch traffic. Education Ministry to meet with school administrators. The Ministry of Education is to meet with school administrators by tomorrow as it presses ahead with plans to reopen schools on January 3 amid concerns about rising COVID-19 cases in Jamaica. The ministry has issued a circular to its regional directors, school board chairmen, and principals, informing them that face-to-face instruction will resume in all pre-primary, primary, and secondary level institutions on Monday. President of the Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary Schools, Lynn Vern Wright, says the educators hope to discuss their concern at the meeting. That's what I am looking for from the ministry today, that we will be allowed to bring in students from all grades. We are supposed to have a meeting between now and Friday to determine how we are moving forward, but the go-ahead has not been given, he said. So far, 856 schools have been cleared by the Ministry of Health for reopening. The Education Ministry says all staff are expected to be at work. Another man murdered in Central Kingston. Gunmen continue to wreak havoc on sections of Central Kingston following another murder in which a man was shot dead at a premises on Rosemary Lane on Wednesday. Dead is 40-year-old Alton Reed. Reports are that Reed was at home about 1 p.m. when armed men entered and shot him several times. Members of the security forces in the area heard the gunfire and went to investigate. He was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Investigators believe his death is linked to ongoing gang feud in the area. JHTA president urges members to adhere to health safety protocols. The president of the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, Clifton Reader, has appealed to the membership to be extra careful in adhering to health and safety protocols amid the global surge in COVID-19 cases. A statement from the JHTA president noted that the number of infected persons have reached alarming levels in many parts of the world. The JHTA president said it is therefore more critical for the local tourism sector to be vigilant and compliant, especially at this time of the year when there is an increase in visitor arrivals in Jamaica. Reader told the JHTA members that the Omicron variant and the other strains of COVID-19 that could emerge have the potential to derail gains not just in hospitality and tourism, but economies in general. Meanwhile, the president of the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, Helen Davis White, says it's now time for Jamaicans to redouble efforts to reduce the impact of the fourth COVID wave. We think the government is actually sending mixed signals to our population, because on one hand we hear of the seriousness of the Omicron and that we are on the cusp of a fourth wave, and at the same time we seem to be loosening up rather than tightening up, she said. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.